Hello and welcome to my June wrap-up. I feel like June wasn't the best reading month. I don't actually remember how previous months went. Currently filming this, my memory is a bit not working today. Speech clearly isn't either, but I feel like this is one of the worst months so far this year. I did not have a great time, to be honest. I read 8 books in June. I kind of had not a slump, but close to that. Don't know why. Maybe because I was reading a lot of mid books, but I don't know. 8 books. Let's just get into them. I don't have anything else to say for the intro. So, the first book that I read was an arc from NetGalley that is the 3.5 book from the series that is above my head right here, that is called the Fairview Fairy Tale series by Macy Aurora. The book that I read was a novella that is called In the Shadow of the Truth, and in that book we have 3 different short stories following all the characters that we have already met in all of the books. The 3 different stories have different names. I will put them on the screen because I've forgotten. I know that one is In the Shadow of a Memory, In the Shadow of a Vow, and I think In the Shadow of a Kiss, but I don't fully remember, so if it's wrong, it's wrong. In the first short story we follow Scarlett and Thomas, which are the parents of the main characters in the story. In the second one we follow Brenna and Luke, which are the characters that we met in the book before, which is In the Shadow of a Dream. And in the third novella or story, I don't know, we follow the first 2 characters that we ever met, which are Ori and Nyx. And we get a lot of answers from the first 3 books, like why all of this is happening. And we also get more of the characters, obviously. I ended up giving this book a 4. I really enjoyed the short stories. I loved the first one, which is In the Shadow of a Vow. I gave that one a 4.5 and the other 2 a 4. I really loved Scarlett and Thomas's story and their little moment in that story. I wish there was a book about them, which technically this is a book about them, but I wanted one just about them, if that makes sense. I thought it was really cute. I loved reading that first story. The second one was also great. We got more time with Luke and Brenna, which I felt like we didn't get enough of in the third book. And the last one we follow Ori and Nyx, which I just said. I thought that one was a bit repetitive. Basically recounted the whole entire first book, but I still loved it because I love the characters. So yeah, it is a must read in this series if you're thinking of reading it, because it does answer a lot of questions. But I'm very excited to continue on. Book 4 is coming out, or has come out, I don't remember, but I'm excited. The next book that I read was Hench by Natalie Nina Walschatz, I don't know, which follows a main character called Anna, and she works as a henchman for villains. But she does just basic work in the beginning of the book. She's kind of like a office worker and working remotely. She just does like spreadsheets, stuff like that. Very mundane. But one time when she's on a excursion, I guess, I don't want to spoil, with one of the villains that she works for, it goes wrong and she ends up really badly injured in her leg. It's like shattered, and she starts forming this hatred towards the hero that did it to her. And because of that, she starts writing a blog thesis of sorts about how much damage heroes actually do, and it goes kind of viral, and she ends up being hired by another villain that wants her to use her abilities to bring down heroes. I don't even know what to say other than that. It's basically about a woman that ends up working for a villain to take down a hero that she hates because he hurt her a lot. I had high hopes for this. Why? Because somebody on the internet, I don't remember who, but we have beef, recommended this to me based on Renegades, which is over there, and it's basically a YA version of what I thought this was, which is of heroes and villains, and heroes maybe do more damage than villains, blah blah blah, all that commentary. But I was very disappointed. I ended up giving this a 2.5. I don't know. Half of this book was very boring. It was just her in an office with her colleagues finding information. I don't even know what half of this book was for. The only interesting parts were when she was interacting with Super Collider, which is the hero, but even then they were very sparse. I don't know. There's 2 moments that I remember that were interesting, and one was halfway through and one was at the end. Do I need to read a 400-page book for only 2 moments? I don't know. Keep in mind, this is book 1 of a series. Send help. Very long story short, I just did not like this. I don't think this is for me. It's interesting to read about the concept that heroes do worse for the world than what they assume that they are doing. I don't know if that made sense, but I think you get me. But I didn't like the main character. I didn't really care about her doing the most mundane jobs ever and her just doing minute things to make people miserable and not even reading about them, just telling rather than showing most of the time. I don't know. I didn't really like any of the plot, to be honest. I just thought it was boring. Moral of the story, I don't know. Thank you. The next book I did not read. I DNF'd, but I always mention those in my videos. But I DNF'd XX by Ryan Hughes, this massive, humongous book that I only bought because it is a weird formatting with very strange pages, etc. I did not know anything about this. I knew that it was about aliens, and that was about it. I started reading this, and I immediately knew, not for me. I don't even know how many pages I read. I think it was 50. I didn't even have to read 10% of the book to know, not for me, girl. It was very boring. These first few pages were boring. The main character was annoying. A lot of the reviews that I read after the fact were like, oh, it's a self-insert. It's giving. It just, no aliens at all in the first, I know I read 50 pages, but barely a mention of aliens in the beginning. Then there's a whole scene about him having sex with a random woman. I don't care. That's why it's a DNF. Bye. Next, I read the 6th to the 8th volumes of Matcha Made in Heaven, which I started last year, I think, which follows this woman that has this family business of making tea, and when her boyfriend, I think, I don't remember, her boyfriend breaks up with her or something and she wants to run away, and she pretends that she is dating the man that works for her family making the tea. And that's the romance that is cute, whatever. I read volumes 6 to 8. I gave them all 4 stars, I think. They're very cute, easy, fun books, manga. We're finally getting to like actual romance and not pretending actually I might like you moment. It's cute. I will continue when more volumes come out, but for now, I'm pausing again. The next book that I read was The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. This was my 3rd time trying to like a book by this author. Not like, love, I guess, as much as Geekerella. Spoiler alert, it didn't go well. This follows an author that has stopped believing in love because of her past, I guess. But she is a ghostwriter for this very popular romance author, and she just can't finish the book that she needs to finish. She ends up getting a new editor, and he wants her to finish the book in time, but she can't. That night, she suddenly gets a phone call that her dad has passed away, and she runs back to her hometown. And there, she encounters ghost version of her editor, who apparently has died and is haunting her. And so we follow the 2 main characters, I have forgotten their names, trying to figure out what the editor that is dead needs to do to be able to pass on, and the main character and the female main character trying to deal with her dad's will and death and whatever. Yeah, I ended up giving this a 3. Again, I was not impressed. It was okay, it was good. That's a 3 for me, good. I enjoyed the concept at first, but on page maybe 100, maybe less, I fully guessed the plot twist at the end, which really bothers me. This might be a spoiler, but the whole time they are kind of, oh, it can never work because you're dead. The plot twist happens. Girl, what was the point? I just feel like because of the plot twist at the end, the romance didn't make sense to me. Not romance, the plot. I don't know if I'm making sense just because I'm trying not to spoil, but if you've read this, I hope you know what I'm talking about. I also didn't really live, laugh, love the millennial coded dialogue. There was a quote about coffee and she called it her Zoom Zoom juice, and that just gave me the ick. Immediately put off. No. Overall, the romance was kind of cute, but since I knew what was gonna happen, I just didn't give a shit, for better choice of words. Yeah. I don't know. I'm over it. I'm over trying more of this author. I'm just gonna pretend that Geekerella is the only series and books that this author has written in my head, and we're just gonna leave it at that. The next book that I read was another arc from NetGalley called Pole Position by Rebecca Caffrey, I think. In this book, we follow two characters that are competing in Formula One. One is a 30-year-old, I think it's 34, man, and he's a veteran. He's been doing this for a long time, since he was a young teenager. He was doing Formula One and being really good at it. And on the other side of the book, we have another character who is 20-something, and it's his first time in the big leagues, and they have to work together. But these two characters hate each other from the moment they start working together, so it is not working. But we follow them kind of fall in love with each other and start liking each other and working together and winning competitions, blah blah blah. Yeah, I think that's the plot. I don't know. I'm so miserable just thinking back to how many terrible books I read this month. Not terrible. Disappointing. I ended up giving this a 2. I did not like this. When I read the plot before asking for this arc, I thought this was gonna be a romance of two characters in Formula One competing, a lot of racing scenes. I thought there was gonna be a lot of cars and racing, you know? There was a lot of sexual activity between the two characters, and there was a lot of miscommunication and a lot of frustration on my part. The two main characters are Kian and Harper. Kian is the oldest one. Kian was so immature emotionally for a 34-year-old. It was so frustrating. I wanted to rip my phone in half because I was reading it on my phone. Harper, fair, you're in your early 20s. You are clearly not mature enough for anything. Should be, maybe, but I don't know. He has a lot of baggage. I understand, okay? I could, like, excuse it, basically. Kian, not so much. Girl. The book is 2 points of views. We get both of the characters. They were so similar. I did not know who was talking a lot of the times. I got so confused. There were 2, at least, moments that I had to go back to the start of the chapter to read who was talking. Their relationship and romance was so bad. There was no chemistry. They just got together to have some funsies, I guess, because it made no sense to me. It felt more like they were attracted to each other physically rather than emotionally on any level, so I just did not connect at all or enjoy the romance. The pacing of the book, horrible. I really wanted more of the Formula One and less of the miscommunication and shit, but here we are. I didn't like it. I was expecting something else, I guess. Not for me. Some people did like it, I think, according to some reviews that I read. Me though, no, I'm good. And the last book that I read in June was Accidentally Engaged by Farah Aaron? Oh my god, I'm always gonna be so frustrated. I don't know. In my brain it goes Farah, but I don't know. In this book we follow Rena, and she hasn't gotten any relationship to get to a point of marriage or anything like that. So her parents always try to meddle in her life. And when we start this book, her new neighbor is supposedly engaged to her. Work of her parents. However, this time he is quite attractive and has a British accent. But she is completely against getting married to him, so they end up just being friends. And while this is all happening, she finds out about this competition that has cooking stuff to do with it. And she loves to bake and cook and stuff like that, so she wants to get into the competition to win a scholarship to a cooking program of some sort. But to be able to be in this show, she has to have a husband. Oh my god, I wonder what would happen in this book. Rena and the new neighbor end up filming a video for this show, pretending to be engaged. Hello, welcome to the title. So yeah, that is the plot of the book. I was expecting a lot from this book, okay? I have read 2 other books by this author that were both arcs, and I loved them to death. These are the books, I can't be bothered getting them. Loved them, cried reading How to Win a Breakup, loved these books. So I was expecting a lot, I'm not gonna lie. I was disappointed. This was full of miscommunication. Again, I don't know why I had to read 2 books in a row with a lot of miscommunication, but here we are again. There were so many side plots and little things. I did not need all of that. There was the parents' secrets, her past trauma, Nadine's secrets, that's love interest, the sisters' stuff, I don't even know, the cooking show, her job. There was so much going on. Too much. Way too much. I just couldn't keep track of everything. But the one plot point or subplot that I wanted more of, there was nothing. When I told you about what this book is, what would you expect to be the major, except for the romance, what would you expect to be the major plot point? The cooking show? Incorrect. It was barely there. Barely. The only times that they talked about the cooking show was when they were filming the videos for the show. And that was like a tiny bit of chapter. I wanted more. As a fan of MasterChef, Hell's Kitchen, all of that jazz, I wanted more of the cooking, you know? Other than that, the romance was okay. It was cute at times, but there was a lot of miscommunication. There was a random foot fetish out of nowhere. I don't know why that was there, but slay, I guess. And also, if you're not a fan of Fade Black, don't read this. Overall, I think I prefer this author's YA books compared to the adult ones. I will give some other of her adult books a try before I fully agree with my statement, but for now, it's giving more the YA. But those are all the books that I read in June. I had a low-key miserable time. All 3 of these might be unhauled. At least these 2 are 100% being unhauled. Plus the DNF unhauled. I'm having a terrible time. Clearly, I'm buying books that I should not be reading or buying. But here we are now. Yeah, I'm disappointed. I don't know. I didn't really enjoy anything. Hopefully July will be better. I'm currently reading a book that I hope I will love. A hint is that it is a very popular series on TikTok and everywhere, and it's behind me right now, very visibly. Hopefully I enjoy it, because if I don't, I will actually cry. I'm not even joking. But that is everything for today, and I'll see you in my next word video. Bye!